Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing with my vampire Candice. No, we're continuing.
Okay.
Alright, we're in the plane. And Candice is in the bathroom, so that works. Candice got up to her seat and she went to the bathroom. While there, she opened her purse and she took out a suppository.
What?
After putting it out, it immediately made her super sleepy. It also took care of her nausea. It was an extreme solution to her nausea problem, but Candice was not in the mood of throwing up in the plane again. After wobbling to her seat, Candice sat down and she rested her head on her grandmother's shoulder. She immediately fell asleep. When she awoke, she was being hauled in a wheelchair by her grandmother. Anya said to Candice, "Don't worry, go back to sleep." Candice, on cue, returned to sleeping. She was having a particularly lucid dream she was meaning to get back to. Since she had a lot of stuff in her old home, Candice only took a small carry-on. Anya picked up her bags and she placed them on top of Candice's lap. Eventually, Anya hailed a taxi and together with the driver, they hauled Candice into the cab. Candice could walk, but she tended to be a heavy sleeper whenever she took a suppository. Since she was a living vampire, she had all the benefits and all the negative aspects of being alive. By the time the pair got to Hialeah, the drowsiness had worn off a bit. It also helped that Anya started pinching Candice to get her out of the car. Together with her grandmother, Candice went up the 2 flights of stairs till she reached her coffin room. Someone had left the air conditioner off, and the place was a furnace. Candice turned on all the ventilator, and then she went to take a cold bath. As for Candice, she sat down and she entered her coffin. She then activated the mini air conditioner inside her coffin. That was more like a freezer type arrangement. Under these conditions, Candice literally hibernated till spring. She would have continued hibernating, but she awoke to the sound of a drill. The drill was so loud that it felt like it was inside her brain. She found a note on the lid of her coffin. The note read, "This is what you missed. I got myself a job at a chickberry. It opened where the GameStop used to be. I think that locale used to be a dollar store, but now it's an ice cream thing. Anyhow, Candice, I normally don't like day jobs, but the noise is intolerable, so have fun, my dear." Under that note, there was a couple of other notes, including one that read, "I went to the ECA Center with Cassandra." The other note said, "Cassandra told me to buy a Monopoly scratch at the lottery ticket at the gas station. At a certain time, at a certain day, as soon as a day laborer bought a ticket. Following her instructions paid up. We now have $50,000. Eat this note after you read it." Candice ate the note and she yawned. "I'm tired of reading paper."
I was about to ask you about that. How are we eating paper in your book?
I'm tired of reading paper. The drill started again, and Candice was forced by it to head out. After locking the door, she went outside to see the source of the noise. The neighboring apartment was getting remodeled. Candice had a dry look on her face. She seemed keen on asking them to work a little quieter, but after seeing the power tool, she realized that this was an impossible request. Candice looked at her watch, and she decided to see her grandmother at her new place of employment. Candice walked up with a quick pace. Eventually, she made it to the parking lot of the apartment. She looked on both sides. She had always taken the part of the block. She had always walked on the side that had the tree. This time, since it was cloudy, she decided to take the route that passed by all of the school. When she happened to be passing by, the kids from the primary school and middle school were outside waiting to take the bus or be picked up by their parents. Candice passed through the mass of Brad. A 12-year-old Brad noticed her and liked her. As tradition in the U.S., the boy tried to bully Candice to make her notice him. The boy looked about for an item and he found his water bottle. He partially opened the cap and then he threw it at Candice's feet. The bottle opened and the water splashed her lap and powdered her face. The kid was expecting Candice to stop and clean herself or complain, but Candice continued her way. The kid followed after Candice. If it wasn't for the fact that Candice tended to go on foot most of the time, she would have gotten overweight. Candice had already gained 20 pounds, and the fact that she had gotten to the stage so skinny meant that her new growth was not noticeable yet. So she had new little biscuits behind her back and a little tummy growing. Candice looked over the top, and then she saw the new ice cream place. She entered the empty shop, and this was a self-serving ice cream system. She poured herself a couple of strawberry ice cream and a dulce de leche ice cream. For toppings, she added a bunch of cheesecake bites, some sprinkles, and a healthy dose of mini gummy bears. That's a lot of eating in this book. The bears tended to harden with the cold, but Candice liked munching through them. Candice's grandmother woke up for a moment, and then she said, "Oh, it's you." "How can they afford you if there's no business?" asked Candice. "What are you, a cop?" asked Anya. "Stop asking stupid questions." "It's not stupid," mumbled Candice. "I'm sorry, there was this lady at the bottom, and she came to our house while you were sleeping looking for a non-existent washing machine. And she searched the entire bottom floor, and she was a real heel. And then there was the other neighbor who was there shaking and complaining about a water droplet, and the water coolers knew, so it wasn't us, but they were going to send someone, a mechanic, anyway, because they want to sue us." "What a bother," said Candice. "See, this is why I hate living in condominiums. When it's not the renters remodeling, it is the other neighbors trying to sue you out of your apartment," explained Anya. "Is everyone a jerk in Hialeah, or are we just unlucky?" asked Candice. "It is a mixed bag, but for the most part, we only notice the bad people because they are actively looking for a chance to do evil, while the decent fellows just do their own thing." "I guess the painter guy in the balcony seems nice," commented Candice. "Yes, that's the spirit," said Anya. Candice finished her ice cream in silence. Meanwhile, Anya went to keep an eye on the brat that had followed after Candice. Since the girl had not taken blood, she was feeling hungry. Candice's newly acquainted stalker started serving himself some ice cream. As he did, he got a bit of sleepy. Candice was draining him of his life energy without realizing. Before the kid fainted, Anya confronted the kid about paying. The kid, who had no money, placed the ice cream on top of Candice's head before leaving. Candice, with a droll look on her face, got up and she said, "You know, I think I'm going to go murder that kid." "It's not worth it, Candice," said Anya. "If you kill him now, he will not grow out to be a miserable adult. Look at his scrawny size. As soon as he gets to middle school, the taller skins will eat him alive." "Yes, I suppose it would be best to let them have him," said Candice. "That's the spirit," said Anya. The following day, Candice did not head out. While she stayed indoors, she talked with Ambrose over the phone. Around April, Ambrose tried to convince Candice to get into the computer scene. Anya did have a computer, but she rarely used it other than for browsing purposes. She mainly relied on it for acquiring TV shows that were no longer on the air. For that reason, her computer was always in the process of downloading something from LimeWire or Sharasha. What time?
6 minutes.
The internet was a new thing for Candice, and as with any type of new skill, Candice was allergic to learning it. As for Amber, he was going through a bit of a hacking phase. If any large business had a computer, Amber was certain to leave a rootkit or a ransomware or a Trojan filled with paparazzi. He did just about anything to be a little bit of a computer bother. Amber said to Candice, "You can see more shows on the internet." "Yes, after Grandma copied them to a CD. I don't see the point of streaming content on a website. It goes a lot faster if you download it," said Candice. "We can play Age of Empires together. I can show you my killer car," insisted Ambrose. Candice lay down on top of the bed to continue her conversation. "Nah, last time I played a game with you, you threw a fit when I defeated you. "I did not," said Ambrose, conveniently forgetting the past. "So how's your mom and dad?" asked Candice, changing the summer. "Your mom is fine and she's doing the same thing she always does," said Ambrose. "And father?" asked Candice. "I don't know, you tell me. He left on a plane after you left," said Ambrose. "So he's here?" asked Candice. "Maybe. Let me check," said Ambrose. After checking on his computer, Ambrose said, "According to his recent credit report, your father is right now in Australia." "Doing what?" asked Candice. "He's following the Elton John tour called A Journey Through Time," said Ambrose. "I didn't know father liked Elton John," said Candice. "Me neither." "You should give him a listen to. I'm traffic, said Ambrose. Huh, said Candice to herself. She then said, bye, Ambrose. Ambrose wanted to say something else to keep the conversation going, but Candice had hung up. Ambrose left his computer desk and he stretched his nimble limbs. Ambrose looked at himself in the mirror. He then looked at his ID image, and then he gave himself a refresher. Whenever he spent a long time without looking at his ID photo, he tended to get the details a bit off. Currently, he spotted the skin of a 20-something man with tan skin, short curly red hair, a strong chisel chin, and elegant nose and bright green eyes. His eyes had an episantic photo, which made many folks think he was Asian. Ambrose was actually born in South Africa. Ambrose looked at an old photo of himself with Candice. It had been taken decades ago when Candice was a bit more present. Ambrose scanned it and then he sent it to Candice by email. The photo had the intended effect. Candice got a bit nostalgic about the time when she was a wee 5-year-old brat, both in body and mind. Her parents too were more present when she was smaller, but then came the war. Time?
Oh, you still got like 4 minutes actually.
Her father and grandmother chose to go out into the world and play hero. Meanwhile, Maduro stayed behind raising Candice in isolation. Anya returned after 2 years with a strong, I don't care anymore attitude. As for Marlo, he had been possessed by a blood frenzy. He made a number on both the Germans and the Russians. This frenzy wore off as soon as the soldiers learned to avoid the forest haunted by a demon. After the frenzy, Marlo realized that he had lost sight of his original instead. Marlo tended to ignore war. However, the possibility of the Germans getting a nuke and conquering the world had frightened him into action. During the war, Anya had spent her time healing the sick, and one day she came back to check on her wards, and they had all been poisoned. The news of Marlo's eventually reached Anya's ear, and as a good mother-in-law, she focused on the bad stuff and diminishing the bit of good he had done. And since then, both have been practically at each other's throat. And when Anya could no longer tolerate Marlo, she left the house. With Anya gone, Maduro became more argumentative, and now not even Candice could put up with Maduro's nonsense. Candice's train of thought was eventually disrupted by a tapping near the window. There was a bright, upside-down scratch in the window, and by now it was like super late. They had recently been a partial blackout, and since the apartment had its own generator, the place had light. Candice came near the window to see what was up. The upside-down fellow had glowing red eyes and exaggerated canines and long nails. The frame of the fellow was small, almost like a 12-year-old child. Candice observed the kid with a dull, bored expression. The upside-down brat himself seemed disappointed by Candice's reaction. He said in a muffled voice, "Are you not afraid?" "I saw the alien movie when it was new," said Candice. "A brat hanging upside down is not scary at all." "I suppose it takes a lot more to scare kids these days," said the brat. "Still, even by today's standard, this little jump scare trick of mine works every time, except on drunk people or high people. You always seem unfazed by the surreal, and you are normal human." Okay, what time?
You got 1 minute and 20 seconds.
I think it's a good place to leave it.
Alright, cool.
Creepy kid in the window. Bye bye and God bless.